short to medium term travel plans. So I've got more to say on this subject, but you know, that kind of is, so it's not so much about you, it's about us. And I'm fascinated to hear, you know, how people see this from other parts of the world. I really, really hope we hear from some other people from from the States, from Australasia. That would be so interesting. Obviously, we've got Adam to hear from on this too.
Sure, thank you for that, Ginny. It's good to know that. Dr. Adam, what is your destination's thoughts with traveling to Africa?
Thank you. Now, China has been a sourcing market, a key sourcing market for a source market, I would say, for Africa. And as I mentioned earlier on, that also leisure travel, the number-wise, may not yet be as big as used to be from Europe or American, because that's what the traditional. But those actually, there are several million Chinese coming to Africa each year, also investing, doing business. But Chinese genuinely are combining business visits with travel. And often when the business people coming over, their relatives may come also to see. And when they go back, they share their experience. So of course, that will be another reason for African destinations, particularly the countries like Zimbabwe, which has great relations with China, to attract Chinese, because Chinese are visitors that going to places they feel welcome. Now, everybody might say, oh, America is a fantastic destination. Yes, it's worse. But when the relationship, political relationship tense up, and then people don't feel welcome, then they will shy away. So Zimbabwe stands out to be, I mean, almost all the African countries are very friendly to Chinese market. So I would say that you will benefit more. But what I would like, just seeing that Michelle may need this time to just sort things out, is just quickly show you a couple of pictures, because I see that we have this function to just let the pictures to speak volume, that what's the recovery of the outbound travel from China. And also the most important thing, just to see, even during the pandemic, back in 2000, I see this figure, 2020, this last May, 1 month after lockdown, 150 million Chinese were on the road. You know, this crowds, but of course, most people were still wearing masks. But on the right, this was this year, 2021. And, you know, 230 million of Chinese on the roads within 3 days. This is just a long weekend. And you can see people dropped their masks already, because we use the measure correctly and contain the virus, and there's no more locally infected cases. You know, any cases reported in China are imported. So that's why Chinese borders are still quite tight. But of course, this is going to be relaxed because China is hosting the Winter Olympic very soon, in 3 months now, 100 days from today. And so this is the most recent development during the Golden Holiday, just 3 weeks ago in China. You can see the number of Chinese going up to the Great Wall, and you know, the Forbidden City behind the Tiananmen Square. Every day there's tens or 100,000 people going up. So people are on the road. We are returning to normal. Now, we are also going to more kind of a distance, to more distant destination, but more culturally related. This I would like your local destinations to think about how to attract the Chinese, is to use your culture. I mean, Zimbabwe has this fantastic cultural tourism. I would say that's heritage. As we develop your website, I've seen many of those heritage sites, and also the cultural music and so on. You can see that even Universal Beijing was opened, attracting a lot of Chinese. But want to show you the real trend now of the Chinese traveling after, during and post COVID-19. Is really going for distance, far distance destination. So instead crowding into a major metropolitan, younger generation, you know, even during the pandemic, I must say that even early last year, we've had the Chinese, you know, the key opinion or the what do you call the key KOL, key opinion leaders, and also media personalities. I want to show you a few of those that were in Africa. That's just live streaming the local custom and their experience and so on. So this is another way of getting your message across through what we call the modern, new media already, but not just what you use WeChat, the Facebook and Twitter and so on that are not available in China, but we use WeChat, Weibo, and WeMedia. That's what you got here. That's you see each of those not necessarily celebrities. Some of them are, but they have millions of followers. Imagine when they beam a destination, if they come to Victoria Falls, immediately there are millions of people will see. And so that gives you an indication that how you can attract the Chinese back and so on. But I won't bore you with this. This was a presentation I happened to be asked to do for the ITV. I just had on my screen. I thought the pictures speak volumes, and but the figures does tell. I want to back up what I said. Look, the number that the 2021, 230 million Chinese were on the road, compared to 195. So it's not that huge increase from just last year. Yes, it was pandemic last year, but before the year before even. So this is figure we want to look at for you to have the real confidence that people do want to travel. I mean, this is real evidence of when the pandemic, just like flu, were contained, people will start traveling. And I'm sure places like Africa, as you are comparatively less affected, would be another attractive destination for us. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think, can I ask you one question before you go? So what has there been, what has been the change in terms of demographics? Obviously, you spoke about millennials and younger generations being the ones that are, but has there been any other different behavior in terms of the trends, the way people used to travel in China? Has everything gone back to what it was and just an increase in a certain demographics? Is there any change in terms of the patterns of the people that are traveling?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, I omitted these two pictures to show this major change is from the large groups. In Europe, I don't know if Virginia, but certainly other destinations like Switzerland or Germany, and so even Holland experienced large groups from China, sometimes as large as 45,000 crowding, Switzerland, tiny little country that at the same time, that's too many. But this is no more the case now. So it's going to be smaller group, family holidays, FITs in the Western terms. And these are the new trends, even within China. I mean, we monitored very closely. There is no more large groups with guides holding a flag and hundreds of them following. No, that don't see because of the COVID measures, but smaller groups, family groups are more widespread nowadays. And that's actually the exact type of visitors that African destinations would attract, because for example, the safaris and so on, I've taken quite a number of groups to Africa. If it's groups ever bigger, they have to separate us into smaller groups for the safaris anyway. So essentially, this would be the right target groups you want to target, but also self-driven driven holidays. That means that they are not necessarily dependent on large coaches. Because they are younger, they've been experiencing self-driving back in China, in America, in Europe, and then once they are in Africa, if they feel safe enough, then they can, if the car has easy. I mean, I must say that one time when I went to Zimbabwe, a friend of mine drove me from South Africa to Zimbabwe, from Zimbabwe back to South Africa, so that's quite interesting. So this is the other trends I mentioned. Even within the country, they will go much further away from the major, just the metropolitan cities.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Doc. Chris, I just want to know from you, from what Dr. Adam has said in terms of the change in demographics of the people that are making reservations, where we used to have series groups that were booking through you. Have you seen any difference at all in terms of the size of the groups that are coming through you from various source markets?
Yes, thank you, Tish. I think what Dr. Adam has said is absolutely, true. This is the trends that we are seeing now, as well. That the numbers that we used to have, bus loads, of tourists, maybe 40. We see now the numbers actually dwindling to where you used to have 40. You probably have like 20 people, traveling. I think there is sort of like more of generational travel that people are wanting to travel. People are trying to avoid to travel with people that they don't know. So the numbers are actually, smaller. So we are seeing a lot of, families, wanting to travel together. If it is a group, it is a group of friends that is, wants to travel together. I think the key thing here is people are looking at safety first. I think safety is it's a big issue for people now considering to want to travel. They want to travel with people that they know, that if they're in, in an environment, you're comfortable with the people that you're traveling with. So I think we are going to see this trend, maybe for a while, going forward. But also let's not just forget, I think, remember, people forget things, quickly and easily. And we'll go back, to our usual things where we used to have numbers. But I think for the next maybe 2, 3, 4 years, we are going to see sort of like smaller numbers, going forward. I think there's a lot of things that this pandemic has taught all of us, that we need to be, a little bit cautious. We need to be careful, in the way, we do things. As Dr. Adam said, we're also seeing, a lot of these millennials, at the moment. They are key people that are wanting to travel, and these are not necessarily your people that sitting somebody in a train or in a bus or somewhere, they just click things. So that's why your social media becomes also very critical, very important, at this stage. So yes, we are not going to realize the numbers that we had, pre-COVID 2019. We probably just maybe got to those numbers maybe 2023, if we're lucky. But smaller numbers we are going to have going forward. Generational travelers, families, but not huge groups.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we have never been this way before. I think what we are facing at this time in the industry, it's something that we have never faced before. And it's very important for us to share ideas and say how best are we able to recover and move forward. Because this is an industry that drives GDP growth of many countries. And I think it's very key for us to be able to say, this is what we are going to do. And Michelle, I hope you can hear me, and I hope you can answer this question. Having listened to both Chris and Dr. Adam, when do you believe there's going to be a significant uptake for our destination is Southern African destination? Southern Africa is a destination. Do you think that there's going to be a surge in uptake, considering that people have been locked down in their countries for so long, and looking at what the region and Zimbabwe, to be specific, has done in terms of curbing the COVID, in terms of the vaccination program that was accelerated and the numbers that are in control? What do you think, Michelle?
I most definitely do think that Africa as a region there will be a surge. We need to take into consideration that the average person for so many months has been locked indoors. Okay, and now it's time, and I think what people would want to do is go out to a destination where they've got wide open spaces, where they've been offered accommodation that is luxury. They've got choices of different accommodation that can offer value for money when they are value for money on accommodations and also packages. We need to also take into consideration the I need to talk about the COVID testing, if I may. I think one of the stumbling blocks at the moment is all these PCR tests that are required by the guests. Once these PCR tests are taken away and a vaccination certificate or vaccination passport is recognized, it will open up more for travelers. Did you hear me, Trish?
Yes, I did. You are advocating for the vaccination passport, which is which the world didn't quite embrace. And I think if we go down that road, I don't know how things will pan out. Ginny, what do you think?
Well, at the moment, to be honest with you, we've been subjected to both. We've been subjected to the PCR tests, and we also, in some countries, they want a proof of vaccination. I'm hoping we'll get to a stage where the PCR test will go away and we'll only have to have proof of vaccination. The PCR tests are very costly, as you all know. So if you're going for multi-destination holidays, that's when it becomes more of a challenge for families to go to South Africa and extend into Africa, because that's when they need to have more tests, and that's when it becomes more expensive. So that's why I'm saying we need to advocate that we only need to have proof of vaccinations. Jenny, your thoughts?
No, I hear you, Michelle, and I think you're very right. I think a more coordinated approach between governments, especially when I look at Southern Africa, the way we have South Africa, we have Zimbabwe, Zambia, Namibia, Botswana, all within 500 kilometers, you have all of that in one place. And for us to be able to attract more people, I think you're right, that I think more coordination so that maybe the number of days that the PCR test is needed will be considered. But obviously we do have scientists that know better how we can contain. So I think it's trying to strike a balance between the two theories so that we don't get into a lockdown again, because we know how that feels.
Of course it does. I think the key word here is they just want to see people on negative. And I think that's the key word. Another point to mention is flexibility. The current key word would be flexibility. We mustn't make it easy for guests to book and travel without worrying about complicated terms and conditions. They need to also be reassured that their bookings and money will be safe. And should a similar event of COVID happen, that they will be protected on, let's say, refunds and things, because guests do not want to put down money. They don't want to take risks anymore. So another key word for me is flexibility.
You're right, Michelle. I think someone in the has just sent us a chat to say there is going to be a revision where PCR test is required for 48 hours. It's going to be moved to 72. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but look, to be honest with you, that is a small win. That actually does go a long way, because you are able to visit 3 countries, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Botswana, within 72 hours, and that is still valid. So I think it's something that we will definitely welcome, because it's a positive development for us as we move to get tourism back in place. Ginny, you wanted to say something? Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, that echoes the point that Michelle was making about consistency and just reducing the complexity of the message. I don't wholly I wouldn't be in such a hurry to throw out the PCR tests. There is a proportion of the traveling public who would be reassured by the fact that destinations are still asking for PCR tests. Just don't be too much of a hurry to get rid of them. Obviously, we all would like to reach a situation when they're no longer needed, but we may not be there yet, and we don't want to be in that flip-flopping. We know all too much about flip-flopping over here. What we would like to see is travel in a one-way direction where things change and they remain changed and don't have to be reversed as they have had to be in some countries in Europe. So, but I'm all for consistency of approach, and a move from 48 to 72 hours is definitely good news.
Yeah, true. You know, when listening to this, as the conversation is going, you then realize that this is probably one of the expectations, what Michelle was talking about and what you're talking about, Ginny, to say this is one of the expectations that people would have, to say this is what the source markets expect for them to find a destination attractive. So we have gone more into detail on the PCR testing, but what else can a destination like Destination Zimbabwe do to be able to attract people in the various markets that you're in, for us to attract more Europeans into our destination? Besides the PCR testing, what else can we do, Jenny, so that our destination is attractive? Because
So
we need people.
I agree that we must focus on the millennials, because they are the one of the groups who is keen to get traveling again. And I gather that they also are showing partly because they're at a stage in their careers where they would normally be spending quite a bit of discretionary income on going out and having fun, and they haven't been able to do that. So they're one of the groups who have perhaps saved quite a bit of money during the time of not being allowed to do so much of that during the periods of lockdown. And just generally, even when we haven't been locked down, people haven't been going out as much. So they've got some discretionary spend. The other group, of course, who have not been spending are the over 55. So we mustn't forget them. They are certainly for my type of company, which is smaller and just specializing in Africa and very tailor-made. They are our stalwarts, and they're more keen to get back. They have fewer family responsibilities, so they're also showing quite a propensity to get traveling again after the as we move into this phase of the pandemic. I won't say the pandemic is over, but we're moving into a recovery phase. So they too are showing an inclination to spend more. So I think that's important. The middle group, the ones who've got families and kids, they're a bit more cautious on spend. So I think that's relevant for Michelle's point about affordability. But they may be a bit slower. I mean, I'm fascinated to hear that you're seeing more family travel. I've had less family travel inquiries for Africa, and I'm not surprised that I have. I think people are going to initially be going out of Europe. We're going to initially be going to sort of tried and trusted destinations that families have been before, and also just reconnecting with family that they may not have seen, friends they may not have seen. So the families may not be in their most adventurous phase for the immediate future, but younger people and older people, I think we can appeal to them. What else was I going to say? That I think that revisiting destinations you've loved. So this is something that applies to all destination marketing. We need to remind people that they loved it when they came to Africa before, whether they came to Africa 25 years ago or whether they visited more recently. We don't always need to be trying to seek new clients. We should be re-engaging those clients, because that's a definite trend, is wanting to go back to places and that you have got that reassurance about, because you loved it before. So that would be part of our marketing, and I think it can be part of destination marketing as well.
Ginny, if I may just clarify on the family travel, that is definitely a trend within China, because
Okay.
I showed the pictures of these are weekend holidays, like a mini weekend, 3 days, or longest was 1 week. So it's much as what Chris also mentioned, the fact that people like to travel with who they know. So obviously within a family, you are a bubble. So that's what's necessary. It's almost by nature. But for long haul, obviously long distance travel, over the outbound travel, I want to answer the question Tersh posed to us, that what the destination need to do. Now, in terms of Zimbabwe and other African destinations, you do stand out just because most of, at least the Chinese, I believe the Europeans have the same ideas. Going to Africa is about safaris. Now that's outdoors, yeah? So first of all the literature, all the knowledge shows that outdoor, COVID is least affected outdoors. So people wouldn't worry too much of going indoors. They are outdoor safaris with a smaller number of people. So you should promote those advantages points that most of your even the touristic sites are really overcrowded. I mean, I wouldn't, as I said, I've been to a number of numerous of African destinations. Apart from even the pyramids doesn't have tens or 100,000 people on a daily basis like Great Wall of China you have seen, Tiananmen Square. So you wouldn't be overcrowded. So those are your advantage. But the other crucial element is a direct flight. Now, that is necessary now. I know that Zimbabwe was trying. I spoke to their senior executives even before, just before the COVID actually took off, and they were keen on resuming the flight. They still had a slot, to fly to and from Beijing. And there's even Air Rwanda started flying from Guangzhou to Rwanda, and they started last year in February, March, during the pandemic, and successful still. And Ethiopia Airlines, which my favorites, we work so closely for farm trips and so on. They fly from Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, Guangzhou, and Hong Kong. So 5 destinations to and from China directly, but to numerous destinations within Africa as well. So if Zimbabwe can take up their slot and start flying directly, will immediately release people's worrying of, if they were traveling via third destination, often, on returning back to China, it still needs all this testing. And most embassies or consulates would not give that, we have this green card, just like a COVID passport thing, the test, if they are just transit. So they have to get it, from the destination where they depart and going directly to China. And that will certainly make things better for you. Also for the business people, remember that, again, when I talk about the Chinese market, I always want the African destination to be aware that you would benefit much more by appealing to the business sector investors as well, because you need a lot of investment for infrastructure. So Zimbabwe benefited from having the airports, both Harare airport. When I arrived, I was really pleased to see the Chinese sign there because it was built by the Chinese company. And then you got the Victoria Falls airport as well. There are many other infrastructure may benefit from the expertise and investment that Chinese companies have. And the real benefit of having those is when those senior executives and even those engineers coming, they will show what they have been to the destination. It's a natural promotion. And then their families, friends, they will start coming in because they will testify that the destination is safe, destination is friendly. Now, the last anecdotal thing I would say, you may start laughing at this, is a number of African ladies, so Chinese working in Africa, happen to find their wives in Africa, from Africa. Now they become celebrities on the media in China. Wow, suddenly, just like in Ukraine, and a lot of Chinese thinking say, why don't I go to Africa as well to have luck to find an African wife and so on? So why not? We got, I don't know, 26 million or so, probably more than that, single men in China, more than ladies. So that's half of UK, I guess. So, and so essentially that may be another way to market the destination and say, well, come along, you may find us so friendly that somebody will go with you back to China. Okay, it's just another thing. I would think that that would be another way to publicize, because imagine we have had those ladies from Africa marrying Chinese men and back home having very lovely mixed children as well. It's a kind of a sensation on the way media nowadays. I'm sure those Chinese who followed, again, millions of them, they will just see the really attractive side of Africa, because it just shows how friendly people are, and not as people imagine, like those who haven't been to China, thinking that we are so backwards, we are so difficult. Actually, when you come to China, you realize we are probably one of the friendliest, like when I went to Africa. And so this is something that I just suggest.
Adam, I can't help but laugh. We have religious tourism now. What will we call this one, where people come for wives in Zimbabwe? What will we call this tourism? It will.
Well, you certainly, I mean, I'm sure Jeannie would have dealt with honeymoon. Honeymoon tourism or wedding is popular even among the Chinese, going to places like Greece, to Bhutan. Just another reason, I mean, I know there are some hoteliers or some key attractions within Zimbabwe or Africa are listening. I'll give you another real example. One of the hotels in Bhutan. Bhutan is such a small country, very few people can go there, but happened to attract one couple, a celebrity from China, getting married in that hotel. Ever since then, you can check with the hotel. They've been booked by the Chinese who want to get married and have honeymoon in that particular hotel. The same thing can happen in your destination. If you, as I said to you, there are a lot of those media celebrities. They don't have to, superstars and so on, but they can attract and get the message across. It's just because it's all about publicity. If they got the audience, and then people will learn the message, and then up to them to make decision if they want to come to find wife or just to enjoy the destination. I would say, because the people who live stream their visits, you probably, wherever you see the Chinese, if they start holding this the phones self-filming, they are streaming. They are streaming live to millions of audience back home. So let them do it. So that then you may just benefit from having other people follow them.
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I got booted out for a few minutes, but I'm back here now. Well, so Michelle, are you?
Yes.
Michelle, yes, Michelle, I want to hear from you. What else can we do?
We also got to think in terms of the travelers' expectations. So, some of the points that I would think about, or before a guest starts traveling, he's looking for value for money today. He's looking for an improved overall travel experience. What about the traveler expectations today? Dr. Wudataker mentioned safety, but over and above safety, we're looking for cleanliness, we're looking for free Wi-Fi, and centrally placed convenient locations. Basically, I feel today people want, or the guests, let me not call them people, they want care on the ground. They want to know that where they are going, their needs are going to be met. They're going to be looking at hygiene factors. The guests will probably expect the hotels, more expectation from the hoteliers. They want cleaner rooms, they want cleaner public spaces, and washrooms is a must-have. So these are the sort of things that the guest is going to be looking for, whether it be 3-star accommodation or your luxury accommodation. There's certain requirements because of COVID that the guest will actually insist on. I don't know your thoughts.
No, you're very right. I look at what the COVID protocols that every hotel in Zimbabwe has put in place, and how ZTA has come on in to make sure that the protocols are on point. You will notice the protocols from as you enter the gates. When you get to a hotel, you notice some even have to make sure your car is fumigated as you get in. The way rooms are being cleaned has changed to make sure that it's safe. And I would like to really applaud the industry, because I am a hotelier and I look at the change that has happened in our cleaning processes in all the hotels and the way things have changed. And because we are, As Zimbabweans, we are hospitable. We love to have people around. And this is the core of who we are as a people. We are warm and loving. And you can imagine you have all this love and you've got no one to give it to. And when you finally find the people, you cannot wait to express yourself. And I just want you guys to know that the very markets that you're in, that as Zimbabweans, we are yearning to express our hospitality to people from your source markets. We are yearning for them to experience our warmness, our love, and we are hardworking people. And you would notice that you will never falter us as Zimbabweans in terms of our work ethic and how well we work. And you know, off to your point, Dr. Adam, when I look at accessibility, I know we are not there yet, but you would notice that so many airlines have started coming. We recently had Qatar start coming through, and you can see that there is progress. Obviously, it's not at the rate that you would expect, but to be honest with you, we are making strides. And I think as we continue to go on this journey, you'll begin to see a lot of activity. And in terms of accessibility, we are looking forward to a lot of airlines. I know I once attended a meeting of Africa's Eden, and they have a whole committee that is looking at accessibility for the destination and engaging various airlines to see what we can do. And I'm so sure that we will have direct flights coming into Zimbabwe, either Harare or into Victoria Falls from Guangzhou, from parts of China, from England, from Belgium, from various destinations. And it's something that we are looking forward to. And you will begin to notice a lot of work that has been happening behind the scenes. And while the pandemic, there was no much work that people were seeing, but you could see there was a lot of work that was happening behind the scenes, a lot of lobbying that the industry has been doing to make sure that we increase the volumes of business that comes from the various source markets. I just want to ask you, Chris, being a Zimbabwean yourself, what is your favorite destination in this country? Which place do you long to go to just in this lockdown, where you were saying the day I get to Zimbabwe, I'm going to go to this destination? Which destination is that in this country?
Definitely, Trish, it has to be the Eastern Highlands. Because of the spaces. I think this is probably maybe something key that we the industry in Zimbabwe also needs to try and to look at. I think Victoria Falls obviously is anybody's bucket list. Anyone wants to go to Victoria Falls, but for me, Eastern Highlands is absolutely the gem of the country. There is really, the scenery is absolutely amazing. I call it a little Switzerland in Zimbabwe. So for me, it's top of the destination. But I think also maybe just going to what my other colleagues have said, when people travel next, I think it has to be people want to experience things. So activities has to be key. I think this is one of the things that as industry needs to drive to have more activities than a hotel room is a hotel room anywhere in the world. But people are not traveling because they want, a nice room, a nice room, it's a bonus, but they want to experience. We have got communities, we forget about community tourism. This is one of the key things that, people are going to be looking at. Sustainable, tourism. This is really, really key that, we need to look at. So we need to offer more experiences. We are fortunate enough in Africa that we have got these wide open spaces. So people, they don't have to to worry about where they go. But let's look at Zimbabwe. Let us look at the whole country. Just not necessarily just focusing on Victoria Falls. Victoria Falls has been marketed. Victoria Falls will draw people, but let's look at other destinations within the country. Eastern Highlands, if anybody has to put a program, I am there. If there's going to be an educational tomorrow or there's something happening, I'll be your first client to go to Eastern Highlands.
I love the sound of that. Thank you, Chris. We'll make sure Hazel has taken note of that. Ginny, when you come to Zimbabwe, which is the first place you want to go to?
So my favorite place is Great Zimbabwe. so, and this, what I'd really like someone to, I'd like to see a high-end property there, and also it's such an interesting place to visit, and it goes to, I mean, it goes to the whole the history of the people of Zimbabwe, and yet it's hardly visited. And I think this picks up on Chris's point. It needs to be more experiential. Go to Great Zimbabwe, but don't just go to Great Zimbabwe and see the ruins and then, okay, what do I do now? I have a nice dinner and then I go. Yeah, that would be great to see. Sort of you need 2 or 3 or 4 reasons to make that extra journey. So yeah, that's where I want to go, but I rather like a bit more choice of accommodation. And I know that's an investment issue and that's kind of tricky at the moment, but yeah, that would be somewhere I really want to go back to. And yeah, you're going to have to persuade me on the Eastern Highlands, though. Bit too like my weather here. So maybe not white, but again, I could be persuaded if I understand the activities. And I think that's the thing I maybe don't understand enough about the Eastern Highlands. But I haven't been, so I need to go there because that would be a new destination for me.
I'll persuade you. I'll make sure that I persuade you.
Chris has it. Chris got you. We're just winding up. We're supposed to be done at 3 o'clock. We'll just give 1 more minute. Michelle, which place would you go? And Jenny, before I go, you know, when I saw Dr. Adams' picture of the people on the wall of the Great Wall of China, I said to myself, that could be Great Zimbabwe. That could be an influx of people that are actually coming there in those numbers to see. So yeah, Hazel, you got that. Michelle, just briefly, which
very briefly, I hear what Chris and Denny are saying, and I do second it. However, we do need a choice of more suitable accommodations. But my favorite of all is the Monopools area. That to me it's just one of the best safari experiences I've ever had. And also, I believe it's a little bit of untouched Africa. Not many people are going there. And I think Monopools is a must-do experience in any Zimbabwe itinerary. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. I love that. I will go to Monopools soon. Yeah, Dr. Adam, briefly, which destination, from what you've experienced, which destination is a place you want to visit in Zimbabwe?
Okay, well, again, I like to pictures speaking for me that this was we featured not just for me, but when we did the roadshow for the Zimbabwe Tourism Authority in China. So we created a website that featured the 8 key destinations. It took me a while to go through, and you know better than I do, but because you are, closing up, I would like to just give my final recommendation on what should be done in attracting the Chinese back. We did all this, and we would love to have done more when your destination is opening, I know, and invite you coming to China for road shows. We can bring in more Chinese trade and media for farm trips. As I mentioned to you, we work closely with the airlines that they can support us. Rwanda Air is traveling now as well. We bring you to meet up with Chinese tour operators. But before that, I want you to benefit from the online marketing activities before the offline, just because essentially online reaches many more people, and we can conduct webinars like what you are doing about the training to the travel trade, and also even benefiting from the social media platforms in China that are very different. Some of you have heard of WeChat, which has more users, 1.2 billion. That's 1,200 million active users every month. Imagine, that's sheer number. Okay.
Sorry, Doctor.
Yes.
Dr. Adam, I'm going to have to cut you off. I know you're bombarding us with all of this.
Okay, I won't actually, because I know you need to finish and so do we. Yeah, okay. So thank you for that. That's my advice.
Sorry, Dr. Adam, you are able to send through to us the presentation so that we can go through it. And anyone else in the audience who would like to have this presentation, please feel free to write your email in the chat, and then we will be able to send it through to you. So Dr. Adam, that one place that you would like to go in Zimbabwe before we close.
Victoria 4. I'm sorry that's because I missed it, so I have to be there, seriously.
Thank you. It was such a pleasure, and we have learned a lot. And we do not take you for granted for joining. I know you could have so many places you would have been, but you did choose to come and be with us. We appreciate it. Thank you so much to Ginny. Thank you, Dr. Adam. Thank you, Chris, my homeboy. Thank you, Michelle. I can't wait so that I can have a chat with you. It was such a pleasure. So see you in Manapul, see you in Great Zimbabwe, see you in the Eastern Highlands, see you and explore Zimbabwe, explore the various destinations that we have. It's been a pleasure having you. We love having you in Zimbabwe. We can't wait to host you. I don't have a Zambezi beer today, but I was gonna drink something. Over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Michelle, technical glitch there, I suppose. Anyway, let me start again. I just want to thank you, Tish, for the lovely presentation. And I did copy correctly. Ginny will go to Masvingo. However, she will be convinced by Chris to join him in the Eastern Highlands. Dr. Adam Wool will be going to Victoria Falls, the smoke that thunders, and he's looking forward to multicultural relationships starting. He wants to see Chinese and Zimbabweans getting married. That will be very interesting. And then we have Michelle who wants to go to Manapools. I'll definitely join you in Manapools, Michelle. Thank you so much. We will take a short break. However, we will return at 15:15 Central African time when we focus on Midlands, the melting pot of cultures. Join us at 15:15. Goodbye.